Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to another episode of News Dose, where I give you all of the latest gaming news, and we had a very eventful weekend. So some really strange things have been happening with Xbox, as some major games for the Xbox Series X leaked online, or at least that's what it looked like at first. This has certainly got the game community buzzing, though the question now, is there more that meets the eye in terms of these leaks? Well, don't go anywhere just yet because we will discuss that, as well as Nintendo's plans for the Switch in 2020. Nintendo has started to open up on what their 2020 plans look like, as they have been radio silent here recently, but it now looks like we may have some good news there, so stay tuned for that as well. Before we get into all that though, let's first go over some of the quick news, starting off with Ori and the Will of the Wisps. So the Ori franchise is a very interesting franchise, and that Xbox actually owns and publishes the Ori games, though they are developed by a third-party studio, Moon Studios. The thing is, even though Microsoft owns Ori, they did allow Moon Studios to port Ori and the Blind Forest over to the Nintendo Switch, which at the time sounded like this could be a new direction that Xbox was going to take, where they may start porting some of their games over to the Switch. Well, fans have been asking for the highly praised sequel to come to the Switch as well, though Moon Studios may have not given fans the answer they want to hear. This is what they had to say. "We love the Switch, but right now we don't have anything to share when it comes to Ori and the Will of the Wisp port. If it were to ever happen though, I can tell you that it would be an extremely difficult port to make it run at 60 frames per second, that's for sure." And there you have it. They didn't actually close the door completely on a port, but it doesn't sound overly promising either. And when I saw this comment by Moon Studios, it reminded me of what Phil Spencer said not that long ago, where he didn't like the side effect of publishing games on the Switch. See, what happened was that after Ori and the Blind Forest made its way over to the Switch, fans then started assuming that Xbox was going to release other games for Nintendo, or creating rumors of games being ported. So we know that Phil Spencer doesn't really feel as keen on this idea as he once did, and now we know that there are no current plans for Will of the Wisps on the Switch, so I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say this one is very unlikely to happen. Not impossible, but unlikely. I know Ori and the Blind Forest is a fantastic Switch game and actually one of the best Metroidvania games on the Switch, but based off of what Phil Spencer's recent comments were on this topic, this type of stuff may not be too likely going forward. In other news, Crash Bandicoot 4 was announced last week, and so far almost everything about it sounds great. It very much resembles the old Crash Bandicoot games with a new twist, and I think that's what most people wanted. We just wanted the old Crash games to return once again, though some new details have started to come out, and some has caused a little concern for fans. Now there is some good stuff here as well, because according to an email by GameStop, Crash 4 will include 100 plus levels, which is absolutely insane. And if you don't realize just how much content that actually is, the original Crash trilogy had roughly 100 levels in all three games combined. So Crash 4 will essentially be just as big as the entire original trilogy. Now with that said, Crash 4 looks like it will be a $60 game, and according to the Microsoft Store, it may include microtransactions as well. This is where fans are kind of being thrown off just a bit. The Insane Trilogy was $40 at launch, so a lot of fans seem to have expected a similar price here, but with that said, I think we do need to keep in mind that this is a brand new game with what sounds like a ton of content. 100 levels is a significant amount of new content, so I personally don't think the $60 is too steep of a price to ask, though I will ask your opinion on that as well. You may feel completely different than me, so let me know in the comments below. Now as for the microtransactions, nothing has been confirmed just yet, but this is Activision, and I'm pretty sure they have been pretty successful with including microtransactions in Crash Team Racing, so this isn't overly surprising. Hopefully it's just cosmetics and stuff like that, and if it is, no big deal, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Moving on though, we do have some PlayStation news today as well. The Last of Us Part 2 has officially become the fastest selling PlayStation 4 exclusive, reaching 4 million copies sold in just 3 days. Now, I know The Last of Us Part 2 has been surrounded by just a little bit of controversy, and some fans just absolutely hate the story and some of the decisions that they made there, but with 4 million copies already sold, yeah, I think Sony is probably pretty happy with these results. This really reminds me a lot of how Pokemon Sword and Shield worked last year, where fans on the internet were pretty angry with that game as well, but then it went on and sold a crazy, ridiculous amount, and I think it kind of shows you that these controversies don't usually reach the general public. Now with that said though, I will be interested in seeing how the longevity of The Last of Us Part 2 is though. The question I have is, will sales remain high, or will it start to rapidly decline due to word of mouth and all the criticism it has received? I mean, there is even a petition now for Naughty Dog to change the story for The Last of Us Part 2, though Naughty Dog has already come out and said there is no DLC planned. So don't go expecting any kind of changes there, and I think that's fair, honestly. Either way though, big congrats to Sony and Naughty Dog here for their huge success on The Last of Us Part 2. Now Sony did also announce the PlayStation Plus lineup for July, and there are actually some really good titles here. Starting July 7th, we will be able to download Erica, NBA 2K20, and the big one, Rise of the Tomb Raider. Rise of the Tomb Raider is a fantastic game, and I know it's a little older now, but if you haven't played that game, it really is a great game. I would have preferred to see Shadow of the Tomb Raider here just because it's newer, but still it's a great game nonetheless. And then you have NBA 2K20, and I mean, we may not be able to watch NBA right now, but getting to play 2K20 doesn't sound like a bad idea at all. Overall though, I think this is a pretty solid month for PlayStation Plus, and I do like that they put some quality games in here. Let's start talking about Xbox though, because we do have two big topics to go over here. First, we will go over this big Xbox leak because this entire leak was just so strange in how it unfolded. So as we all know, there will be a big Xbox Series X event sometime in July, and anytime you head into these big events, of course there's going to be a lot of rumors and fake leaks pop up online. Most of the time it's easy to ignore these, but here's what happened. So over on Twitter, somebody spotted a couple of placeholders for some Xbox IP, Fable and Perfect Dark. Of course, both of these games are highly rumored to be in development, so it could be easy for somebody to just simply be trolling here, so no big deal, right? Well, it was no big deal, or at least at first, until Tom Warren noticed that both of these accounts were using Microsoft accounts, which still could easily be faked. But the big one was that a Microsoft employee, Ken Lobb, was following the Perfect Dark account. Ken Lobb is the partner creative director for Xbox Game Studios, and that's the part of the story that still doesn't really add up. And let me explain. Xbox's Aaron Greenberg did kind of downplay both of these placeholders on Twitter, and the Perfect Dark placeholder has been confirmed to just be a fan trolling. So no big surprise there, but why did Ken Lobb follow the Perfect Dark account in the first place? That's the big question. Now maybe Ken Lobb is just having some fun here, or maybe he followed it to notify Microsoft that they should probably try to take this account down, or maybe there really is a new Perfect Dark in development, and he's playfully hinting towards that. So this is where we need to take a step back and really look into these Perfect Dark rumors, because I feel like a lot of fans are pretty set on this happening. We've actually talked about it several times on this channel, but the truth is, most of this is actually speculation, and it all started April of last year when Alana Pierce appeared on IGN Unlocked's podcast and said that she has heard from sources that the Coalition was working on a Perfect Dark game in collaboration with an unnamed studio. By this point, almost everybody seems to have pegged the initiative as that unnamed studio because based off of Phil Spencer's comments about doing old things in new ways. It does make it sound a lot like it will be a reboot, and the job listings for the initiative seems like it could fit with a new Perfect Dark game. And last but not least, Daryl Gallagher, the head of the initiative, has already had a lot of success rebooting the Tomb Raider franchise. So when you add all of those things up, it does sound like maybe the initiative really could be working on a new Perfect Dark. But still, I do think that we need to keep in mind that there is no guarantee on that. The biggest thing we really have to go off right now is that Alana Pierce did hear from her sources that Xbox is working on a Perfect Dark game, but still there is nothing set in stone as of this moment. With that said, I do hope that Perfect Dark does happen because I am a big fan of Perfect Dark, and I think the original is ultimately an all-time great first-person shooter. As for this big leak though that really has spread like wildfire, just approach this with caution. Now maybe Perfect Dark does get announced next month for the Xbox Series X, but we'll have to wait and see. I just don't want to see anybody disappointed if it doesn't happen. As for this other Xbox news though, Eurogamer is now reporting that there will be no big Xbox 2020 event for the month of June. Microsoft did announce that they would be doing monthly announcements for Xbox throughout 2020, but we did hear about this earlier in the month. It does sound like Microsoft delayed some kind of an announcement from June all the way to August, and I'm pretty sure that was the Xbox Lockhart announcement. Lockhart has basically become the industry's worst kept secret, as Lockhart is meant to be Xbox's cheaper, more affordable next generation console, looking to target 1080p resolution at 60 frames per second. The thing is, even though we all practically know about it, we still haven't actually gotten an official announcement for it just yet, and I actually do think it was originally supposed to be announced for the month of June. Though the problem is that Microsoft and Sony are both strategically waiting for the other to announce a price first, and I think because Sony did not announce the price of the PlayStation 5 at their event, Microsoft went ahead and delayed the Xbox Lockhart announcement all the way to August. Now, if I'm correct on that, then we likely will not get an official price for the Xbox Series X or Lockhart until August at the earliest. And I know this is frustrating for fans, but they will be selling these consoles for the next 5 to 10 years, so they're really trying to get the price right so they can come out strong at the beginning of the generation. Now we just need to wait and see who caves first on announcing the price, PlayStation or Xbox. Let me know though, what do you think the price for each console will ultimately end up being? Let me know in the comments below. And now for the last topic of the day, Nintendo started to talk a little bit about their plans for the Nintendo Switch in 2020. I think with everything happening in the world right now, and Nintendo's silence regarding a new Nintendo Direct has led a lot of fans to worry about the Switch lineup for 2020. Some may be wondering if there has been any kind of delays. Well, in a Nintendo shareholder meeting, they revealed two separate things that fans should be relatively happy to hear. One, they are on track with no delays currently for any of their software, but they did note that there is a possibility that they cannot sell their software as scheduled. So even though there hasn't been delays so far, they haven't ruled that out just yet either. Hopefully nothing does get delayed, but we are in unprecedented times, so it's hard to tell currently. I am hearing though that Nintendo may be set to announce something as early as this week, though I'm not sure if that's 100% certain or not, so we'll have to wait and see there. I do know they have to announce those Mario 3D games eventually though, so I'm very curious as to when that will be. I also would love to see if those Metroid rumors are true or not. Honestly, I kind of miss E3 right now. With all of these game announcements being so spread out, we don't really know when to expect any kind of new announcement. Now also, they did say that the manufacturing for the Switch console is getting back to normal now, and that they do expect it to be pretty much normal again by this summer. So do expect Switch stock to vastly improve over the next couple months. I know it's been a little hard to get here recently, so hopefully this is good news for you and a sign that fans can once again get the Switch without it selling out immediately. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Peace out.